keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing.
Walked up on the number 8T at Castle. I put the tee in the ground and I hit the ball, and it always goes off to the left. I don't know who hit next. I don't know whether it was Harold Brewster or Carolyn Toney. But my brother got up and teed his ball up, and he hit it out through there. It started out left and it started curving around. And I believe it hit just off the green and rolled all the way to the flag and dropped in. A hole-in-one in golf at Castle, the 8th tee, during our golf tournament. I have never seen a hole-in-one in my entire life. In person, I've seen them on TV, but I've never seen one in person. You know, every time when I walk up to that number 8T at Castle, I'll remember that and probably say something about that. You know, before the golf tournament, weeks before the golf tournament, I began to pray. I prayed 2 prayers about that golf tournament. I prayed that we would have good weather, and I prayed that everyone would have a good time. This past week in the Bluefield area, the weather was perfect. My family was in, and it was perfect every day. Beautiful weather. I know that, I believe that prayer was answered, and I hope that everyone had a good time. I know I did. It was a time that I'll never, ever forget. You know, we had that during 9/11 week, and when that was scheduled, I was a little leery about that. Didn't know how things would go because it was 9/11. And everyone remembers 9/11. I remember exactly where I was at. You know where I was at? I was taking my brother to the airport in Charleston. He had been in that week. We got out of the car and was walking towards the terminal, and this girl came out and said, "You just well go back home. You're not going anywhere today." And then we saw the pictures of the tragedy of 9/11. And we come back home, and I believe he stayed with me 3 or 4 days. He couldn't fly out for 3 or 4 days. During that time, my son had joined the Marine Corps. He had been in the Marine Corps maybe 6 months. And during that time, he called and he said, "I'm shipping out." And guess where he was shipping out to? Iraq. That time, the conflict was centered in Iraq. And Marines are always at the point of the spear. They are the ones that go in in first. I remember during that time it was a miserable time for me and my family because we were worried about our oldest son. During that time, CNN had embedded reporters that were with the units. And the CNN unit was with my son, the 24th Expeditionary Marine Unit. And they showed the conflict 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You could actually watch the war. And I remember at the end of every day, they would say, well, we lost so many Marines today. And it was, I just worried to death. We all did. I remember shutting myself out away from everybody and everything. And I just watched 24 hours a day. I watched the conflict in Iraq. And I worried and I grieved. And I hated for the phone to ring. I hated for the phone to ring because if the phone rang, I thought it might be some bad news about my son. Or if a strange car would pull up and just turn in the driveway. It worried me to death because that's the way the military notified families about the loss of their sons and daughters. It was a terrible time for me and my whole family. I've always had dogs, and we had a pit bull dog. I know a lot of people don't like pit bulls, but this one was loving and caring. It was one of the best dogs I ever had. Slept at the foot of the bed every night. And I would go to sleep with CNN on, and I would wake up with CNN on. One night, Snoopy jumped up on the bed. I was dead asleep, and she licked me on my nose. And I woke up, and just as I woke up, the phone rang. I looked at the clock, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, what kind of calls do you get at 3 o'clock in the morning? And I was upset anyway. It rang one time, and I got it real quick. When I put the phone up on my ear, anticipating terrible news. And the voice said, "What are you doing?" It was my son. I said, "Where are you at?" He said, "I'm coming through the Suez Canal. I'm on top of an aircraft carrier." He was coming home. Being thankful. We all have things to be thankful for that we're not even aware of. Oh, I was thankful for that. You know, this past week, my whole family was in, and we'd sat on the deck, and my brother was a veteran of Vietnam, and of course my son was a veteran of the Iraq War. And they sat and told war stories one night until midnight. My son only told me one war story. He was in Fallujah, Iraq. There were 5 of them. And they went into this shack thinking that would be a good place to spend the night. Somewhere along the night, my son got up and went outside. And while he was outside, a mortar was fired. It hit that shack and killed those 4 Marines. He told me that story. And see, I didn't even know about that. How many things have happened and the Lord has put his hand upon them that we don't even know about. I am going to practice being thankful. You know, I was driving down the road yesterday and I saw the football teams practicing. I go to Fincastle Golf Course and I see people practicing hitting golf balls. I'm going to practice being thankful. Even though we may not be aware of things that have happened in our life, we don't know what would happen without the Lord helping us along the way. Each and every one of us, no matter our circumstance, have things that we need to be thankful about. This day I am thankful. Look back and see how many things each day we need to be thankful for. Let us be thankful. I'm going to practice being thankful. Amen.
You say I am strong when I think I am weak, and you say I am held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me.